of using a device, the iPhone Air, enters the space as something that immediately feels different the moment it is picked up, not because of a new feature or a new interface, but because of how it feels in the handlight, almost unreal, as if a familiar object has been stripped down to its most essential form. This feeling creates a strong first impression, one that is difficult to ignore, because it challenges expectations of what a modern smartphone should feel like. The device is not small in terms of display. It still carries a large screen that stretches across the front, offering a visual experience that feels immersive and expansive. Yet the way that screen is presented through such a thin and light body changes perception, making something large feel manageable, something powerful feel effortless. This contrast becomes central to the experience, because it defines how the device is understood, not just as a tool, but as an object that prioritizes form in a way that directly affects function. Performance remains strong, driven by the 19 Pro chip, delivering speed, responsiveness, and the ability to handle demanding tasks without hesitation. Apps open quickly, transitions feel smooth, multitasking remains fluid, creating an experience that aligns with expectations of a high-end device. This level of performance ensures that despite its focus on design, the iPhone Air does not feel limited in everyday use. But as the experience continues, deeper layers begin to reveal themselves, showing that every design choice carries trade-offs. The camera system is one of the most noticeable areas where compromise appears, with a more limited setup compared to other premium models, focusing on a single primary sensor rather than multiple lenses. This does not mean that photos are poor, but it does mean flexibility is reduced, especially in scenarios that require zoom or specialized shooting modes. Users who rely heavily on photography may begin to notice these limitations over time, especially when compared to devices that offer more advanced camera systems. Battery life becomes another important aspect, shaped by the thin design where space constraints influence capacity, leading to performance that may not always match heavier models. During intensive use, in moderate usage, it performs adequately, but under heavier conditions, the limitations become more apparent, requiring more frequent charging or adjustments in usage. This balance between form and function becomes a recurring theme throughout the experience. The iPhone Air does not attempt to excel in every category. Instead, it focuses on delivering a specific kind of experience, one that emphasizes lightness, elegance, and simplicity. This focus creates a device that feels unique in a market where many smartphones prioritize adding more features, more cameras, more battery, more complexity. Here the approach is different, less about adding more and more about refining what remains. The design itself reflects this philosophy, with a body that feels solid despite its thinness, avoiding the fragility that might be expected from such a form. This durability reinforces confidence, allowing the user to handle the device without constant concern. Despite its minimal profile, the display continues to be one of its strongest aspects, offering sharp visuals, strong brightness, and smooth refresh rates that enhance both everyday use and media consumption. This visual quality ensures that the core interaction with the device remains engaging, supporting activities from browsing to streaming to gaming. The iPhone Air also reflects a broader shift in how smartphones are evolving, moving away from purely feature-driven competition toward more design-focused experiences. This shift raises important questions about what users value most, whether it is maximum capability or refined simplicity. The device positions itself clearly within this question, offering an answer that prioritizes feel over function in certain areas. This does not make it universally ideal, but it makes it distinct, creating a niche for users who value portability and design. Above all else, the experience of using the iPhone Air over time becomes a process of adaptation, where initial impressions evolve into a deeper understanding of its strengths and limitations. The lightness continues to impress even after extended use, creating a sense of ease that heavier devices struggle to match. The performance continues to deliver, ensuring that everyday tasks remain smooth and responsive, but the compromises remain present, shaping how the device fits into different use cases. For some users, these compromises are acceptable, even desirable, because they align with priorities focused on design and comfort. For others, they may become limitations that affect long-term satisfaction, especially if advanced photography or extended battery life are essential. This duality defines the identity of the iPhone Air, making it both appealing and divisive at the same time. It is a device that does not try to be everything. It chooses a direction and follows it consistently. The narrative of the iPhone Air is therefore not about perfection, but about intention, about the deliberate choice to prioritize one set of values over another. This intention becomes clear through every aspect of the device, from its physical design to its performance characteristics to its limitations. It represents a perspective on what a smartphone can be when constraints are embraced rather than avoided. And within that perspective, it offers an experience that feels different, not because it changes everything, but because it changes what is emphasized, the story continues as users spend more time with the device, discovering how it fits into daily routines, how it adapts to different scenarios, how it influences the way they interact with technology. The iPhone Air becomes less about its specifications and more about its presence, how it feels to carry, how it feels to use, how it integrates into everyday life. This presence becomes its defining quality, creating a connection that goes beyond features and enters the realm of experience. And that experience continues to evolve over time, shaped by usage, shaped by expectation, shaped by the balance between what is gained and what is given up. The iPhone Air remains within this balance, existing as a product of both innovation and compromise, a reflection of how design choices shape not just devices, but the way they are used. And as this evolution continues, the narrative does not end. It expands further into new ideas, new possibilities, new interpretations of what a smartphone can be, always moving forward, always redefining priorities, always becoming something more. The experience extends further into long-term use where initial impressions begin to settle and deeper understanding takes their place. The iPhone Air no longer feels surprising, it feels familiar. But within that familiarity, new details continue to emerge. The thinness that once stood out becomes normal, yet it continues to influence every interaction, making the device feel effortless to carry, effortless to hold, effortless to use. This effortlessness becomes one of its most valuable qualities, reducing friction in everyday tasks, allowing the user to engage with the device without distraction. The performance continues to remain strong, ensuring that despite its focus on design, the device does not feel slow or limited in regular usage. Applications run smoothly, multitasking remains responsive, the system maintains stability across different scenarios. This consistency reinforces confidence, allowing the user to rely on the device without hesitation. The display continues to deliver high quality visuals, supporting a wide range of activities from reading to watching to interacting. This visual clarity enhances the overall experience, making the device feel premium despite its minimal approach. However, the limitations continue to define its boundaries, especially in areas where hardware constraints are more noticeable. Battery life remains a factor that requires awareness, particularly during heavy use, where efficiency must be managed more carefully. Camera flexibility continues to be limited, shaping how the device performs in photography compared to more feature-rich alternatives. These limitations do not disappear, they become part of the identity of the device, shaping expectations, shaping usage patterns, shaping overall satisfaction. The iPhone Air therefore becomes a device that rewards a specific type of user, one who values design simplicity and comfort over maximum capability. This alignment between product and user becomes essential because it determines whether the experience feels complete or compromised. The broader smartphone landscape continues to evolve, with devices offering more features, more power, more versatility, creating a contrast that highlights the unique position of the iPhone Air. It does not compete directly on every front. It defines its own space within the market, focusing on a refined experience rather than a comprehensive one. This positioning makes it stand out, but also makes it selective, not for everyone, not for every use case, but highly effective within its intended purpose. The narrative continues to expand through this understanding, showing that technology is not just about what is possible, but about what is chosen. The iPhone Air represents a choice, a direction, a philosophy that prioritizes design and experience in a way that challenges conventional expectations. And as this philosophy continues to evolve, the story of the device continues, with it always adapting, always refining, always becoming something more. The experience continues to settle into a deeper rhythm, where the device no longer feels like something new, but something that has always been part of the routine, something that fits naturally into daily patterns without requiring attention. This sense of normalcy is not accidental, it is the result of design choices that prioritize ease of use over complexity, creating an interaction that feels intuitive from the start and becomes almost invisible over time. The iPhone Air begins to show its true character in these moments, where it is not being evaluated, but simply used, where the focus is not on what it does, but on how effortlessly it does it. This effortlessness becomes more significant as time passes, because it reduces the mental load associated with using technology, allowing the user to focus on tasks rather than the tool itself. The thinness continues to play a role, even when it is no longer consciously noticed, because it affects how the device is carried, how it is handled, how it fits into everyday situations. Pockets feel less burdened, hands feel less strained, prolonged use feels less tiring, all contributing to an experience that prioritizes comfort without sacrificing capability. The performance remains consistent, ensuring that the device continues to respond quickly and reliably, maintaining a sense of fluidity that supports a wide range of activities. This consistency reinforces trust, allowing the user to depend on the device without hesitation, without concern that it might struggle under normal use. The display continues to provide a strong visual experience, maintaining clarity, brightness, and responsiveness across different conditions. This visual quality ensures that interaction remains engaging whether the user is reading, watching, or navigating through applications. However, the boundaries of the device remain present, particularly in areas where design constraints limit hardware capabilities. Battery life continues to require awareness, especially during extended use, where energy management becomes important. Users may find themselves adjusting habits, planning charging more deliberately, or moderating usage during demanding scenarios. This adaptation becomes part of the overall experience, not necessarily a drawback, but a factor that shapes how the device is used. The camera system continues to deliver solid results in general scenarios, but lacks the versatility found in more complex setups. This limitation becomes more noticeable for users who rely heavily on advanced photography features, but less significant for those who prioritize simplicity. The iPhone Air, therefore, continues to define itself through balance, not between equal strengths, but between intentional priorities. It offers a refined experience in areas that matter most to its design philosophy, while accepting compromises in others. This clarity of purpose becomes one of its defining strengths, because it avoids trying to be everything and instead focuses on being something specific over time. This specificity becomes easier to appreciate because the device consistently delivers on its intended experience. The broader context of technology continues to evolve, with new devices pushing boundaries in performance, features, and capabilities within this landscape. The iPhone Air maintains its distinct identity, offering an alternative approach that emphasizes form and feel over maximum specification. This distinction allows it to stand apart, not as a direct competitor in every category, but as a different interpretation of what a smartphone can be. The narrative continues to expand through this perspective, showing that innovation is not always about adding more, but sometimes about refining what already exists. The iPhone Air embodies this idea through its design, through its performance, through the way it integrates into daily life. As time continues, the relationship between user and device becomes more stable, more predictable, more aligned with expectations. This stability contributes to long-term satisfaction, creating a sense of reliability that extends beyond initial impressions. The device becomes a constant presence, supporting daily activities without demanding attention, without creating friction, without complicating interaction. This presence becomes its defining quality, shaping how it is perceived, how it is valued, how it fits into the broader experience of using technology. The journey continues through this steady integration, expanding into new moments, new uses, new adaptations that further define the role of the device. And as this journey continues, the iPhone Air remains consistent in its purpose, consistent in its design, consistent in its delivery, not perfect but intentional, not comprehensive, but refined, not universal, but distinct. The story does not conclude, because the process it represents continues to evolve with changing needs, changing expectations, changing technology. And within that ongoing evolution, iPhone Air continues quietly, consistently, effectively, always adapting, always refining, always becoming something more. The experience moves further into long-term understanding, where the device is no longer judged by comparison, but by how well it fits into the life of the person using it. This shift in perspective changes how strengths and limitations are viewed, transforming them from abstract qualities into practical realities that either support or challenge daily use. The iPhone Air continues to support a lifestyle that values simplicity, that values comfort, that values a streamlined approach to technology. This support becomes evident in the way the device handles routine tasks, in the way it integrates with other systems, in the way it maintains consistency over time. The thin design continues to influence every interaction, even when it is no longer consciously noticed, creating a baseline of comfort that becomes part expected experience. This expectation shapes how other devices are perceived, making the iPhone Air a reference point for what lightweight design can achieve. The performance continues to remain stable, ensuring that the device does not feel outdated or limited even as new technologies emerge. This stability contributes to longevity, allowing the device to remain relevant beyond initial release cycles. The limitations remain part of the experience, but they become predictable and therefore manageable, allowing users to adapt without frustration. This adaptability becomes part of the relationship between user and device, creating a dynamic where both adjust to each other over time. The broader ecosystem continues to evolve, supporting the device through updates, improvements, and expanded functionality. The iPhone Air remains part of this ecosystem, benefiting from its growth while contributing to its diversity. The narrative continues to develop through this interaction, showing that the value of a device is not fixed it changes over time, as usage patterns evolve, as expectations shift, as technology advances. The iPhone Air continues to hold its place within this changing landscape, offering an experience that remains consistent even as the world around it changes. And as that world continues to move forward, the journey of the device continues with it always present, always reliable, always adapting, always becoming something more. The experience continues to stretch further into a phase where the device is no longer something that needs to prove itself, because it has already settled into a role that feels stable and understood. This stage is defined by quiet confidence, not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, consistent presence that does not fluctuate over time. The iPhone Air continues to operate with the same level of smoothness, the same level of responsiveness, the same level of clarity that it established earlier. This consistency becomes more important than initial excitement, because it defines how the device performs over extended periods rather than in short bursts. Daily interactions become almost invisible in terms of effort, where unlocking, navigating, switching between tasks all happen without conscious thought. This reduction in effort creates a sense of flow where the device feels less like something being used and more like something that simply enables actions. This feeling is reinforced by the physical design, where the thin and light structure continues to influence how the device is handled. Even when it is no longer noticed directly, it remains easy to carry, easy to hold, easy to use for long durations without discomfort. This comfort becomes a constant factor, shaping the overall experience in subtle but meaningful ways. The performance continues to hold steady, ensuring that applications respond quickly, that transitions remain smooth, that multitasking does not feel restricted. This stability supports a wide range of usage patterns, allowing the device to function effectively in different scenarios without needing constant adjustment. The display continues to deliver clear visuals, maintaining brightness and sharpness that enhance both productivity and entertainment. This visual consistency ensures that interaction remains engaging regardless of the task. At the same time, the limitations of the device remain part of its identity, particularly in areas where design constraints limit hardware expansion. Battery performance continues to require awareness, especially during heavy use, where efficiency becomes important. Users adapt to this by adjusting habits, by planning charging, by understanding how usage affects endurance. This adaptation becomes part of the relationship between user and device, creating a system where both adjust to maintain balance. The camera system continues to perform reliably within its scope, but does not extend beyond it. This limitation becomes predictable, allowing users to understand when it will perform well and when it may not meet expectations. This predictability reduces frustration, because it replaces uncertainty with understanding. The iPhone Air continues to represent a specific philosophy, one that prioritizes refinement, simplicity, and comfort over maximum capability. This philosophy becomes clearer over time, as the device consistently delivers on its intended experience without trying to expand beyond its defined purpose. The broader technology landscape continues to evolve, with new devices introducing additional features, increased power, and expanded capabilities. Within this environment, the iPhone Air maintains its position not by competing in every area, but by offering a distinct approach. This distinction allows it to remain relevant for users who align with its priorities, who value design and ease of use over complexity. The narrative continues to expand through this alignment, showing that satisfaction comes from how well a device matches the needs of its user, rather than how many features it includes. The iPhone Air continues to match those needs for a specific group of users, providing an experience that feels cohesive and intentional over time. This intentional design becomes its strongest attribute, creating a sense of identity that is clear and consistent. The device does not change its direction. It refines it, reinforcing the qualities that define it. The journey continues through this refinement, expanding into new moments, new uses, new patterns that further integrate the device into everyday life. And as this integration deepens, the iPhone Air becomes less about comparison and more about presence, a presence that remains steady, reliable, predictable, comfortable, always available, always responsive, always aligned with its purpose. The story continues without interruption, without a final conclusion, because the process it represents is ongoing. Technology continues to evolve, user expectations continue to shift, new ideas continue to emerge, and within this continuous movement, the iPhone Air remains consistent, refined, intentional, always adapting, always maintaining its identity, always becoming something more. The experience continues to move forward into a stage where time itself becomes the measure of value, not days or weeks, but sustained usage, where the device proves itself through repetition, through consistency, through its ability to remain reliable without needing attention. The iPhone Air begins to feel less like a product and more like a constant presence, something that exists quietly in the background, ready to respond at any moment without delay, without complication. This quiet presence becomes one of its most defining traits, because it removes friction from everyday interaction, allowing tasks to be completed without interruption, without resistance. The thin and light design continues to influence this experience, even when it is no longer consciously noticed, shaping how the device is carried, how it fits into daily routines, how it integrates into movement. This integration creates a sense of effortlessness, where the device feels natural rather than intrusive, where it supports activity rather than demanding focus. The performance continues to maintain stability, ensuring that applications load quickly, that transitions remain smooth, that the overall system feels responsive regardless of usage. This stability reinforces trust, allowing the user to depend on the device without hesitation, without the need to monitor its behavior constantly. The display continues to provide clarity, maintaining a high level of visual quality that enhances interaction across different tasks, from communication to entertainment to productivity. This consistency in visual experience contributes to overall satisfaction, creating a sense of reliability that extends beyond performance. At the same time, the limitations remain present, shaping how the device is used, particularly in areas where hardware constraints define capability. Battery life continues to require awareness, especially in demanding situations, where efficiency must be managed more carefully. Users adapt to this by developing habits, by planning usage, by understanding how different activities impact endurance. This adaptation becomes part of the overall experience, creating a balance between what the device offers and how it is used. Camera system continues to operate within its defined range, delivering good results in standard conditions, while lacking the flexibility of more advanced setups. This limitation becomes predictable, allowing users to adjust expectations accordingly, reducing uncertainty and maintaining satisfaction within its intended scope. The iPhone Air continues to represent a focused approach to design, prioritizing simplicity, comfort, and refinement over maximum feature expansion. This focus becomes more apparent over time as the device consistently delivers on its intended experience without deviation. The broader technology environment continues to evolve, introducing new devices, new capabilities, new expectations within this environment. The iPhone Air maintains its position by offering a distinct experience rather than competing directly in every category. This distinction allows it to remain relevant for users who value its specific qualities, who prioritize ease of use over complexity, who prefer refinement over excess. The narrative continues to expand through this understanding, showing that the success of a device is not determined by how much it can do, but by how well it does what it is designed to do. The iPhone Air continues to perform within this framework, providing a consistent, reliable, and refined experience that aligns with its design philosophy over time. This consistency becomes its strongest advantage, creating a sense of trust that defines long-term satisfaction. The device becomes predictable in a positive way, where every interaction meets expectation, where every response feels familiar, where every action feels controlled. This predictability reduces cognitive load, allowing the user to focus on tasks rather than the tool, enabling a smoother, more efficient workflow. The journey continues through this stability, expanding into new uses, new scenarios, new patterns that further integrate the device into everyday life. And as this integration deepens, the iPhone Air becomes less about novelty and more about reliability, less about features and more about experience. The story continues without a final endpoint, because the evolution of technology does not stop. It progresses, continuously introducing new ideas, new improvements, new possibilities. And within this ongoing progression, the iPhone Air remains steady, consistent, refined, always adapting, always maintaining its purpose, always becoming something more. The progression extends further into a phase where long-term ownership reveals the deeper value of design decisions, where the impact of simplicity becomes clearer, where the balance between form and function is fully understood. The iPhone Air continues to demonstrate that reducing complexity can enhance usability, that focusing on essential features can create a more cohesive experience. This cohesion becomes more valuable over time, because it ensures that the device remains easy to use. Even as new updates, new features, and new demands are introduced, the system continues to operate smoothly, maintaining performance, maintaining responsiveness, maintaining stability across different usage patterns. This reliability supports long-term satisfaction, creating a sense of continuity that extends beyond initial impressions. The thin design continues to define the physical experience, influencing how the device is handled, how it is carried, how it integrates into daily routines. This influence remains constant, creating a baseline of comfort that shapes the overall perception of the device. The limitations continue to exist, but they become part of a known framework, allowing users to adapt without frustration. This predictability enhances usability by replacing uncertainty with understanding the broader ecosystem, continues to evolve supporting the device through software, updates, improved services, expanded functionality. The iPhone Air remains part of this ecosystem, benefiting from its growth, while contributing to its diversity. The narrative continues to expand through this interaction, showing that the value of a device is not static. It evolves over time, as usage patterns change, as expectations shift, as technology advances. The iPhone Air continues to hold its place within this evolving landscape, offering an experience that remains consistent even as the world around it changes. And as that change continues, the journey moves forward, without pause, without conclusion, always evolving, always adapting, always becoming something more. The progression moves into an even deeper phase, where the idea of ownership itself begins to change, where the device is no longer something that is evaluated on a daily basis, but something that becomes part of an ongoing routine. This stage is defined by familiarity so complete that interaction requires almost no conscious effort. Actions happen naturally, responses feel immediate, and the entire experience flows without interruption. The iPhone Air continues to exist within this flow, maintaining its consistency, maintaining its responsiveness, maintaining its quiet presence in everyday life. This presence is not demanding, it does not require attention, it simply remains available, ready to perform, whenever needed, without hesitation. The thin and light form continues to influence this experience, shaping how the device is carried, how it is used, how it fits into different moments throughout the day. This physical ease becomes a constant benefit, one that is felt even when it is not actively noticed. The performance remains stable, ensuring that tasks are completed quickly. Applications open without delay, and transitions feel smooth regardless of how often the device is used. This stability supports a wide range of activities, allowing the device to function as both a tool for productivity and a source of entertainment without compromise. In everyday scenarios, the display continues to deliver clarity, providing a consistent visual experience that enhances interaction without drawing unnecessary attention to itself. This balance between quality and subtlety reflects the overall philosophy of the device, where nothing is excessive and everything serves a purpose at the same time. The limitations remain integrated into the experience, shaping how the device is used, particularly in areas where hardware constraints define boundaries. Battery usage continues to require awareness, especially during extended periods of activity, where efficiency becomes important. Users adjust to this naturally over time, developing habits that align with the capabilities of the device, creating a rhythm that balances usage and charging. This rhythm becomes part of the overall experience, not a disruption, but a predictable element that can be managed easily. The camera system continues to perform reliably within its scope, providing consistent results in everyday situations, while lacking the versatility found in more complex configurations. This limitation becomes understood rather than questioned, allowing users to adapt expectations accordingly. The iPhone Air continues to represent a clear design philosophy, one that prioritizes refinement, simplicity, and comfort over maximum expansion of features. This philosophy remains consistent across every aspect of the device, creating a cohesive identity that does not shift over time. The broader technology landscape continues to evolve, introducing new devices, new capabilities, new innovations within this evolving environment. The iPhone Air maintains its place by offering a distinct approach rather than competing directly on every front. This distinct approach allows it to remain relevant for users who value its specific qualities, who prefer a streamlined experience over one filled with complexity. The narrative continues to expand through this perspective, showing that technology does not need to be defined by how much it can do, but by how well it fits into everyday life. The iPhone Air continues to fit into this space, effectively providing an experience that is stable, reliable, and refined over time. This stability becomes its defining strength, creating a sense of trust that extends beyond individual features. The device becomes predictable in a way that supports efficiency, allowing users to interact with it without hesitation, without uncertainty, without the need for constant adjustment. This predictability reduces cognitive effort, allowing focus to remain on tasks rather than the mechanics of interaction. The journey continues through this established rhythm, expanding into new patterns, new uses, new scenarios that further integrate the device into daily routines. And as this integration deepens, the iPhone Air becomes less about comparison and more about continuity, less about innovation, and more about consistency. The story continues without a final resolution, because the process it represents is ongoing. Technology continues to evolve, user expectations continue to shift, new possibilities continue to emerge. And within this continuous movement, the iPhone Air remains steady, reliable, refined, always adapting, always maintaining its identity, always becoming something more. The evolution extends further into the idea of long-term perception, where the device is no longer judged by its initial impact, but by how well it sustains its performance over time. The iPhone Air continues to demonstrate that sustained consistency can be more valuable than short-term excitement. This consistency is reflected in every interaction, in every response, in every moment of use, creating a stable experience that does not fluctuate. The thin design continues to influence usability, providing a level of comfort that remains constant regardless how frequently the device is handled. This comfort becomes part of the expected experience, shaping how users interact with the device. Without conscious thought, the performance continues to remain dependable, ensuring that the device does not feel outdated or limited even as new technologies are introduced. This dependability contributes to longevity, allowing the device to remain relevant for longer periods. The limitations continue to exist, but they become predictable and therefore manageable, allowing users to adapt without frustration. This predictability enhances the overall experience by removing uncertainty and replacing it with understanding. The broader ecosystem continues to evolve, supporting the device through updates, improvements, and expanded capabilities. The iPhone Air remains part of this ecosystem, benefiting from its growth. While maintaining its distinct identity, the narrative continues to develop through this interaction, showing that the value of a device is not static. It changes over time. As usage patterns evolve, as expectations shift, the iPhone Air continues to hold its place within this changing landscape, offering an experience that remains consistent even as the world around it changes. And as that world continues to move forward, the journey continues with it, without pause, without conclusion, always evolving, always adapting, always becoming something more. The experience keeps unfolding into an even quieter phase, where everything that once felt noticeable now becomes background, where the device no longer draws attention to itself, but instead allows attention to remain on whatever task is being performed. This shift is important because it represents a level of refinement where technology becomes invisible, not in the sense of disappearing, but in the sense of not interrupting. The iPhone Air continues to operate within this space, maintaining its steady performance, its smooth interaction, its consistent responsiveness. Each action flows into the next without friction, creating a continuous experience that feels uninterrupted. This uninterrupted flow becomes one of the most valuable aspects, because it allows the user to remain focused without distraction, without delay, without hesitation. The thin design continues to influence how the device is experienced even when it is no longer actively noticed. It shapes comfort, it shapes portability, it shapes the overall sense of ease. This ease becomes part of the identity of the device, something that defines it at a fundamental level. Performance continues to remain stable, ensuring that tasks are completed efficiently, that transitions remain fluid, that the system responds quickly under normal conditions. This reliability builds long-term trust, allowing the user to depend on the device without second-guessing. The display continues to deliver a clear and consistent visual experience, supporting a wide range of activities without degradation in quality. This visual stability contributes to the overall sense of refinement, creating an environment that feels controlled and predictable. The limitations of the device continue to exist, but they are no longer surprising. They become part of an understood framework that shapes how the device is used. Battery life continues to require awareness, particularly during intensive use, where energy consumption increases. Users adapt, naturally adjusting usage patterns, planning charging moments, integrating these actions into daily routines without disruption. This adaptation becomes seamless over time, turning what could be a limitation into a manageable aspect of ownership. The camera system continues to perform within its defined scope, providing consistent results in everyday scenarios. While lacking extended flexibility, this limitation becomes predictable, allowing users to align expectations with reality, reducing frustration and maintaining satisfaction within its intended purpose. The iPhone Air continues to represent a focused vision of what a smartphone can be when simplicity and refinement are prioritized over expansion and complexity. This vision remains consistent across every aspect of the device, reinforcing its identity and ensuring that the experience remains cohesive. The broader technological environment continues to evolve, introducing new advancements, new features, new expectations within this changing landscape. The iPhone Air maintains its relevance by staying true to its core philosophy, rather than attempting to match every new development. This approach allows it to remain distinct, offering an alternative experience that appeals to users who value clarity and ease of use. The narrative continues to grow through this distinction, showing that innovation is not always about increasing capability, but about refining experience. The iPhone Air embodies this idea through its design, through its performance, through the way it integrates into everyday life over time. This integration becomes deeper, creating a relationship between user and device that is stable and reliable. The device becomes a constant presence, supporting daily activities without requiring attention, without introducing complexity. This presence defines its long-term value, shaping how it is perceived and how it fits into the broader experience of technology. The journey continues through this steady integration, expanding into new uses, new patterns, new moments that further reinforce its role. And as this journey continues, the iPhone Air remains consistent, predictable, refined, always supporting, always present, always adapting, always becoming something. Or the progression continues into a stage where the idea of efficiency becomes more central, where every action feels optimized, where nothing feels unnecessary. The iPhone Air demonstrates how reducing excess can improve usability, how focusing on essential elements can create a more effective experience. This efficiency is reflected in how quickly tasks are completed, how smoothly transitions occur, how easily the device fits into different scenarios. The thin design continues to contribute to this efficiency by reducing physical burden, making the device easier to carry, easier to handle, easier to use over extended periods. This physical efficiency complements the digital efficiency, creating a unified experience that feels balanced. Performance continues to support this balance, maintaining responsiveness, maintaining stability, maintaining consistency across different types of usage. This consistency ensures that the device does not become a source of friction, allowing the user to interact with it effortlessly. The limitations remain part of the system, but they are integrated in a way that does not disrupt the overall experience. Battery management becomes a routine aspect of use, rather than a constant concern. Camera expectations remain aligned with its capabilities, avoiding disappointment by maintaining consistency. The broader ecosystem continues to evolve, providing support through updates and improvements that enhance functionality over time. The iPhone Air remains connected to this ecosystem, benefiting from its growth while maintaining its unique identity. The narrative continues to expand, showing that technology is not defined solely by advancement, but by how effectively it integrates into daily life. The iPhone Air continues to demonstrate this integration, offering an experience that is stable, reliable, and refined. And as time continues to move forward, the story does not end. It continues to develop, always progressing, always refining, always adapting, always becoming something more. The experience reaches a stage where the device no longer feels like something that needs to be understood, because it has already been fully absorbed into daily life, where interaction becomes instinctive, where every action feels immediate and natural without conscious effort. The iPhone Air continues to exist in this space as a constant presence, not demanding attention, not creating friction, simply supporting every task, every moment, every transition with quiet consistency. This quiet consistency becomes the defining quality, because it allows the user to move through their day without interruption, without resistance, without the need to think about the tool being used. The thin and light design continues to influence every interaction, shaping comfort, shaping portability, shaping overall ease with which the device fits into life. This influence remains constant even when it is no longer actively noticed, because it changes how the device feels over long periods of use, reducing strain, reducing effort, creating a sense of effortlessness that becomes part of the expected experience. The performance remains steady, ensuring that the system responds quickly, that applications open without delay, that transitions remain smooth and uninterrupted. This stability reinforces trust, allowing the user to depend on the device without hesitation, without doubt, without the need to monitor its behavior. The display continues to provide a clear and consistent visual experience, maintaining quality across different scenarios, supporting everything from communication to entertainment to productivity. This visual consistency enhances the sense of reliability, creating an environment where interaction feels controlled and predictable. The limitations remain part of the identity of the device, but they no longer feel like obstacles. They become understood parameters that shape usage patterns. Battery life continues to require awareness, particularly during extended or intensive use, but this awareness becomes routine, integrated into daily habits without creating disruption. Users adapt naturally, adjusting usage, planning, charging, integrating these actions into their schedule in a way that feels seamless rather than restrictive. The camera system continues to deliver consistent results within its scope, providing reliable performance in standard conditions while lacking the flexibility of more complex setups. This limitation becomes predictable, allowing users to align expectations accordingly, reducing uncertainty and maintaining satisfaction within its intended purpose. The iPhone Air continues to represent a focused philosophy, one that values refinement, simplicity, and comfort over maximum expansion of features. This philosophy remains consistent across every aspect of the device, creating a cohesive experience that does not shift or change direction over time, the broader technology landscape continues to evolve, introducing new innovations, new capabilities, new expectations within this evolving environment. The iPhone Air maintains its identity by staying true to its core principles rather than attempting to compete in every possible area. This clarity of purpose allows it to remain relevant for users who value its specific qualities, who prioritize ease of use over complexity, who prefer a streamlined experience over one filled with excess. The narrative continues to expand through this understanding, showing that the success of a device is not defined by how much it can do, but by how well it integrates into everyday life. The iPhone Air continues to integrate effectively, becoming part of routines, part of habits, part of the overall flow of daily activity. This integration transforms the device from something that is used into something that simply exists within the user's environment, supporting actions without drawing attention to itself over time. This presence becomes its most valuable attribute, creating a sense of stability that defines long-term satisfaction. The device becomes predictable in a way that enhances efficiency, allowing users to interact with it without hesitation, without uncertainty, without the need for constant adjustment. This predictability reduces cognitive effort, allowing focus to remain on tasks rather than the mechanics of interaction. The journey continues through this established rhythm, expanding into new patterns, new uses, new scenarios that further integrate the device into life. And as this integration deepens, the iPhone Air becomes less about novelty and more about reliability, less about innovation and more about consistency. The story does not end, because the process it represents continues to evolve. Technology continues to advance, user expectations continue to change, new possibilities continue to emerge. And within this continuous movement, the iPhone Air remains steady, consistent, refined, always adapting, always maintaining its identity, always becoming something more. The progression extends further into a level where time reinforces every decision, where the value of the device is no longer questioned, but accepted, where its role becomes clear and stable. The iPhone Air continues to perform with the same level of reliability, maintaining smooth operation, maintaining responsiveness, maintaining efficiency across extended periods of use. This long-term stability becomes one of its strongest attributes, because it ensures that the experience does not degrade, that quality remains consistent, that the device continues to meet expectations. Users begin to rely on this stability, trusting that the device will function as expected without variation, without unexpected issues. This trust simplifies the relationship between user and device, creating a sense of ease that defines the overall experience. The thin design continues to shape usability, providing comfort that remains constant regardless of how often the device is used. This comfort becomes an essential part of the experience, influencing how the device is perceived, how it is handled, how it fits into different aspects of life. Performance continues to remain dependable, ensuring that the device does not feel outdated or limited even as new technologies are introduced. This dependability contributes to longevity, allowing the device to remain relevant over time. The limitations continue to exist, but they become fully integrated into the experience, predictable, manageable. Understood, this predictability enhances usability by replacing uncertainty with clarity, allowing users to adapt without frustration. The broader ecosystem continues to evolve, supporting the device through updates, improvements, expanded functionality. The iPhone Air remains connected to this ecosystem, benefiting from its growth, while maintaining its unique identity. The narrative continues to develop through this interaction, showing that the value of a device is not fixed. It evolves with usage, with time, with changing expectations. The iPhone Air continues to hold its place within this evolving landscape, offering an experience that remains consistent even as everything around it changes. And as that change continues, the journey moves forward without pause, without conclusion, always evolving, always adapting, always becoming something more. The experience continues even beyond this point, extending into future use, where habits become fully formed, where the device becomes part of identity, part of routine, part of everyday life. The iPhone Air remains within this space, continuing to provide the same level of refinement, the same level of consistency, the same level of quiet efficiency that defines its character. This character does not shift, it does not attempt to become something else, it remains focused, clear, intentional. And that clarity becomes its greatest strength, allowing it to maintain relevance, even as the world continues to change. Because while technology evolves and expectations shift, the need for simplicity, the need for reliability, the need for ease of use remain constant. The iPhone Air continues to meet these needs, providing an experience that is stable, predictable, and refined. And so the story continues without an ending, without a final point, without a conclusion. Always moving forward, always refining, always adapting, always becoming something more.